John Wycliffe is often called the morning star of the Reformation for his role as the first major theologian to take on and oppose the might of Rome, and also to translate the scriptures into the native tongue. And there is a painting that shows him passing the light on. First, it shows John Wycliffe passing the torch on to John Huss, who then passes it on to Martin Luther, showing that each man built on the success and foundations of the previous man. However, what the painting misses is that there is a woman missing in this succession who played a key role between John Wycliffe and John Huss. She was born in Prague around 1367 and is thought to have been a deeply pious woman who had been exposed to the Reformation at a young age through the influence of three reformers, John Mellis, Conrad Strickner, and Matthias Eunovius, even before John Huss. Each of these men were powerful preachers who were not afraid to speak out against the spiritual abuses of the church, and to a certain extent were sacramentarians. Growing up around these men would have had an influence on her, as they were not afraid to challenge the authority of the church, and she would have been compelled and encouraged to dig for answers to her own questions. Anne married Richard II, one of the most controversial monarchs in English history, who was also the son of Joan of Kent. When he was 13, the Council of Regency sought a marriage for him, and they had heard of Anne, and her connections to the various powerful houses in Europe made her a good match. She agreed to the marriage when she was 15, with some historians suggesting that she made the decision not only because she liked the opportunity to be the Queen of England, but because she had also heard of the work of John Wycliffe. She travelled overland from Bohemia to Calais before coming across the channel by boat, and she arrived here in Dover, where she was greeted with excitement. She spent her first Christmas in Leeds Castle before travelling here to London, where she married Richard here in Westminster. After the wedding, they travelled to Westminster Castle for some festivities, and the marriage of the young king and queen was a happy affair from the beginning. It was still early days in Richard's reign, and he had yet to display some of the defects of character that would end his reign in disgrace. When Anne travelled over here, she brought copies of the Gospel in 3 languages, Bohemian, English, and Latin, something that John Huss would write about. A deeply committed woman who devoted a portion of each day to reading her Bible and also studying commentaries by leading scholars on the Bible. She was a diligent Bible student, a fact church authorities were aware of, and she spoke openly about her Bible study with the Archbishop of Canterbury and also York. No doubt her position as the Queen of England shielded her from persecution. If anyone of a lower rank in society had studied the Bible or read the writings of Wycliffe like she did, they would have been, and in many cases were, burned for Lollardism. She was a disciple of Wycliffe, and her mother, Joan of Kent, also liked him, and her mother used her influence to shield him from the hatred of one of his chief enemies, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Anne sadly died in June of 1394, just 27 years old, presumably of the plague. The king was so devastated that he ordered that Sheen Palace, that they had shared for much of their marriage, be torn down and destroyed. Sheen Palace was later rebuilt as Richmond Palace, part of which still stands behind me. After she died, she lay in state in St. Paul's Cathedral before she was interred in Westminster Abbey. Following her death, members of the royal household returned back to Bohemia, many of them carrying John Wycliffe's writings with them, and by this means the Reformation spread into Bohemia. Anne didn't have all the light, but she embraced what she had and faithfully shared it with other people. May we live up to the light we have and share it with others. Lineage is a crowd-funded non-profit studio. We make videos, we write articles and books, and we've got a podcast. And it's all to share the stories of biblical and Christian role models in history. We uncover heroes from the past to inspire, guide, and help today's generation connect the past with the present and the future. And it's all free for you because it's been generously paid for by thousands of supporters all over the world. Your support is helping millions of people understand their identity, their purpose, and their mission in life. Crowdfunded means whatever you give, big or small, helps us accomplish our mission. You can help us make more resources by joining our mission. You can give at lineagejourney.com.